Hello and welcome back to Hop to the Top for one final time. I know this video is a little bit late, but today we're going to be going through some of our greatest moments in the Hop to the Top save, as well as also going 10 years into the future as well to see what happened to Grasshoppers after I left the club. Hopefully we kept going and kept going and kept going. Hopefully win a Champions League in there somewhere. That's what I'm hoping for, but I'm not at the helm, so I can understand if that didn't happen in the end. Anyway, hope you're all doing well today and you're looking forward to this one. If you want to get access to both the save files from today's video, then there's links on the Patreon, so get yourself involved with the Patreon if you want to get access to the save files. If you're on the Patreon, they should be uploaded for you right now, so go and help yourself to those should you want to get involved with all this kind of stuff. Anyway, let's get straight into this then. Essentially, the first thing I want to do is have a quick look at the club and go to history and go to competitions, and we'll start off in domestic leagues. So we first started this save when Grasshoppers were relegated to the Challenge League, which was terrible. The second tier of Swiss football, the first time they've been in the second tier since, well, before records began on Football Manager, clearly, but it was a good 50, 60 years or so, I think, since their last time outside of the top flight in Switzerland. So we had the challenge of getting them back into the Super League at the first time of asking. We did that by winning the league there. 36 games, 26 wins, 5 draws, 5 losses, 83 points on the board. Very good going, in my opinion. I was really pleased with that one. We then got promoted to the Swiss Super League, and the first season we just said to ourselves, we only want to survive. That's what we want to do. Just survive and we should be okay, and sort of build from there. But if we're honest with ourselves, we came third in that first season and then never looked back. Third in the first season, second, and then we won the league title in our fourth season in this save, our third season back in the Swiss Super League. We then came to second the season afterwards, but then the 4 seasons after that, we won every single title. So it was pretty good going, I've got to say. We did fantastically well in domestic football and reinstated ourselves as the best club in Switzerland, which I was really pleased with. That was sort of the main aim in this entire save. If we have a look at if we can find it, I just want to see the cup, the Swiss Cup. There we go. We lost in the third round twice in a row, actually, in the first 2 seasons, which wasn't great. But then after that, we made the final every single year, losing one final and then winning the rest of them. So we did very well in the Swiss Cup. That was absolute domination from us, which I'm very, very proud of. So pleased about that one. But of course, we're then interested in European football. So the Euro Cup 2, or the Europa Conference League, we had 1 season in that where we obviously, I think when we came third in the Swiss Super League, we qualified for the Euro Conference League. So we lost to Everton in the quarterfinals on away goals there. We'll have a look more in depth at the progress in that a little later on. So we had 1 season there, losing in the quarterfinals on away goals. Very unfortunate there for us. Europa League, though, we did pretty well. We lost to Frankfurt in the quarterfinals in the 22-23 season, which was a little frustrating. But after that, in the 25-26 season, I think after we got knocked out of the Champions League group stages, finishing third, we won it. We beat Arsenal in the final, which was absolutely fantastic. And in all the other seasons, we've been in the Champions League. Unfortunately, we never got quite to winning it, but we did manage to make the semi-finals in our last season, losing it to Manchester United narrowly. We made the quarter-finals 1 occasion as well against Bayern Munich, losing that. The first knockout round on 3 occasions, losing to Chelsea, PSG and Barcelona. Lost to PSV in the third place qualifying round 1 year, and that meant we knocked down into the Europa League 1 season. That was also frustrating. And then one time also got knocked out in the group stages. Third in the group stages, and that's the season we dropped down into the Europa League and then won the Europa League. So that was all pretty good. We also had 1 win in the Europa Super League by beating Man City, with Matthew Bottle scoring a famous hat-trick in that game, which was absolutely superb. So we won quite a few trophies, I've got to say. I'm very pleased with the trophy haul that we had in this save. Looking over at some of the players then, this is the best 11 apparently, and to be fair, most of these players here are very recognisable names that we had for a long, long time. Calas, you know all about. Guardado, Boone, Augusto, Cruz, Schneider, Alex Smith, Jerome Bernard. Morandi is a weird one. He was sort of towards the first half of the save, I should say. So he's obviously done quite well to stay in this overall best 11. You can see we had him from about here to here. But then after that, he was sold to Crystal Palace for a lot of money at the time. That was a big transfer for his £2.8 million. So I'm surprised Morandi is still there. But as you can see, his career sort of petered downhill a little bit after being to Crystal Palace. He then went down to Ipswich and then went to Amiens. Although in the top flight of French football, they're not exactly a PSG, are they? So I'd say his career went a little bit downwards, I've got to say, off there. Coley on the right wing was a fantastic player for us. Now playing at Sunderland, interestingly, after we sold him for £4.5 million. Only scored one goal for Bristol City in the Championship, made one appearance in the Premier League before dropping back down to the Championship with Sunderland. So Cole's career downhill a little bit after being a real goal machine for us in the first couple of seasons. He was absolutely fantastic, I've got to say. And of course, you can't really have the striker position without having Matthew Bottles in there. What a player Matthew Bottles was for us. Just absolute goal-scoring machine. And the money he made for us, we bought him for less than £1 million off the transfer list at Roma, and then sold him for £115 million later down the line after he scored bags full of goals for us, and actually scored loads of goals for Chelsea as well. 9 goals in the league there, 12 goals in the league there is pretty respectable stuff, I've got to say. Maybe not for a player that's worth £115 million. You'd probably expect a little bit more, but they're decent returns, I've got to say, as he helped Chelsea out massively there. On the bench, Fruchtel. I forgot we even had Fruchtel for a little while. He was there for quite a long time. Got him on loan originally from Bayern Munich before buying him for £225,000. And he did play very well for us. I think we won some league titles with him in goal. But ultimately, if we wanted to progress in the Champions League, we had to do a little bit better than him. And that's when Kalas came into the squad and we got Kalas playing for us instead. Sterigu, Ross McQuaid there. Sugachev. I'm surprised he's there. Because, I mean, we can't really see his proper history, unfortunately. But he didn't play that many seasons for us. Maybe 1 or 2 seasons before hopping over to Luzern, but obviously let go by Luzern, retired at 28, so that's a bit of a shame for Sugachev there. Peter Pusuk, he was a very good player. Again, we sold him to Munster in Germany, I think, after he had a good career with us, Munster and Dynamo Dresden, and then retired at 30 years old, Peter Pusuk. Ivan Illich was another quite a big player for us, actually. He was fantastic, and we sold him for, was it 25 million in the end? 24 million to Brighton. That was huge for us, especially when we only bought him for £250,000, which was amazing, and he spent his whole career actually at Brighton doing quite well for them, I've got to say. So he has obviously still got quite a good career ahead of him, Ivan Illich. And Molnar, also a player we had on loan for quite a few seasons. Did we ever buy him? We never bought him. We had him on loan for 2 seasons, as you can see there. He spent a little time in the 21s as well, apparently. Must have played a few games for them. But 21 goals one season. In the second season, he was absolutely dreadful. So we never really thought about getting him back. But after that, he was sold from Benfica off to Bologna for £10 million and has sort of probably gone downhill a little bit. Well, I say downhill a little bit. He played for Stuttgart in the Bundesliga and Norwich in the Premier League. But I'd say Bologna were probably in the best position to get him some decent level of football there. So, I don't know. Molnar was a very good player. But that's the overall best 11. I suppose we've got to talk about it, haven't we? Alex Smith, the OG regen, who has been with us his entire career, played 236 league games, got 40 goals, 33 assists, 10 player of the matches, and a 7.1 average rating in league football. If we extend that, I'm not sure how we can actually see more a total running of all games played, including continental and league games. But he's played maybe around 300 games total, maybe not quite that many, but he must have played close to 300 games for the club, Alex Smith. Absolute legend. I'm really happy that we've got him. Can we see a biography anywhere or something like that? Information. I'm sure there's a way to see some sort of biography and it tells you. Maybe that's only for retired players, I don't know. But I'd like to see how because I'm sure he's played more than 300 games for us. It might tell us here in terms of... Oh, there's biography. There we go. We found it. Alex Smith is a well-known name across Europe. He's made plenty of appearances for Grasshoppers. His first one in a Swiss Cup, playing against Hong, which was quite interesting. What are we looking for? Looking for something interesting. 90% pass completion ratio. That's pretty good, I've got to say. It doesn't say how many appearances. It says 227 league appearances, but we know that. I think it must be around 300 total, including league and European fixtures and things like that. So fantastic stuff for him, and that 90% pass completion ratio is absolutely incredible. But also alongside Alex Smith, Randi Schneider. How can we not talk about Randi Schneider? 264 appearances, 64 goals, 48 assists, 32 player of the matches, and a 7.28 average rating to boast as well. Randi Schneider, wow. What a player he turned out to be. And I don't think he's actually meant to be that good in real life. And I don't think he's meant to have that great potential. But I don't know if potential in Football Manager is fluid. It feels like it must be fluid because Randi Schneider is, in my opinion, a world-class player. He's probably not a world-class player. But in my opinion, he most definitely is. How did I find there we go, biography on the milestones. Well-known player. He's gone on and made 46 appearances, scoring 7 goals for his country, 88% pass completion, 78 dribbles, That's fantastic. That's just this season, actually, not overall. I thought that was probably the same for Alex Smith, and I thought that was overall, but that's just this season, which is fair play. But he's also lifted the Super League Young Player of the Season, Swiss Rookie of the Year, Swiss Super League Midfielder of the Year, and Euro Cup Player of the Season as well. That's a big achievement for him. When we won it, Randi Schneider and Alex Smith runner up there in Player of the Year for the Europa League, which I think is pretty mental, I've got to say. So they are two big names that we just can't get over, and I suppose Matthew Bottles as well. What a man Matthew Bottles is. He is just absolutely phenomenal. Again, looking at his biography, bit more stuff there because he's played for some other clubs as well. But, he's won the Super League Youngest Player of the Year, Super League Striker of the Year, Super League Top Goal Scorer, European Golden Shoe, Super League Player of the Year, and he's been shortlisted for World Footballer of the Year. Obviously not gone on to win it. I don't think that was when he was with us, unfortunately, else I would have known that. But that's pretty impressive, I've got to say, especially for a player we bought for less than £1 million. That is phenomenal. So we had really good training new facilities in the end that we really made great use of, I've got to say. I think we maximised those quite well. We had some very good players come through, with, of course, Alex Smith being the pick of the bunch there, which I think is really exciting. We also bought in quite a few decent players as well. Ross McQuaid, he was a very good buy, I think. We spent a lot of money on £42 million from PSG, but he was a solid centre-back for us for an awful long time. Haroldinho Bunce as well, what a great player he turned out to be. £34 million from Roma, but worth every single penny when we bought those two guys at the exact same time. They were the solid backline that carried us through to the Champions League semi-final, I've got to say. They were phenomenal. So we'll look through a few records as well, just to remind you of some other players. Top goal scorers, we started off with Nassim Ben Khalifa as the top goal scorer. He had a great career after us, I think. Played for us, and it says he played for us a long time ago, and then went sort of on a journeyman a little bit around Europe, and then came back to us for the start of this series, where he's got 36 goals and 51 appearances, went on to play for Stoke. I think we sold him for about £5 million, £4.5 million or so, which was, in fact, no, it's £7.5 million, it says there. Scored 6 goals for Stoke, and then had a really downward spiral by playing for Cheltenham, which is a bit of a fall from Grasshoppers to Stoke to Cheltenham, I would say, personally. Coley, we've spoken about him already. He had the top goal scoring boot one season. Molnar, we spoke about him. Harvey Elliott was a very good buy for us. A very cheap £4 million from Liverpool. Came in and scored 17 goals in his first season before Monaco snapped him up for £15.25 million, which at the time was his minimum fee release clause that he wouldn't budge on. We tried to offer him new contracts, but he wouldn't accept them. So Monaco got him on a pretty cheap deal, and he's never dropped below a 7 rating for them, so they must be doing something right at Monaco. Matthew Bottles, again, we've spoken about him extensively. He got 46 goals one particular season. But to be fair, Harry Kane at 33, 34 years old got 30 goals for us in one particular season. I forgot we even had Harry Kane. That was a little bit of a coup. We pay him a lot of money, but he's worth it because he has bagged plenty of goals for us and helped us on our way to winning Swiss Cup trophies and helped us all the way to the Champions League semi-final as well. His experience really helped us out there. In terms of assists, most assists by a player in a season, this is where it's a little bit different. Now this takes us back, doesn't it? This really takes us back. The first season, 20 assists, that hasn't been beaten. Oliver Buff, the Snake. There you go, the absolute Snake. He's now the assistant manager at the Duz too, so he's had a terrible career after. In fact, he went to Spal. I don't think he really played any games there. He played one game there, which was a substitute appearance. So he went for the money. He could have stayed with us, and I would have kept him for ages. But Spal took him for free, and he was paid back by not playing a single competitive fixture for them, or a full 90 minutes in a competitive fixture, maybe 30 minutes at the end of that game or something like that. So that sort of served him right for 3 seasons before he went to the UAE and probably did fairly well there. Actually, no, he didn't do fairly well. 16 appearances, and he got a 5.72 average rating. What on earth was he doing in that time to get that? No wonder he's retired, and no wonder he's only the assistant manager of the Duz number 2. I don't remember this guy. In the next season, Tristan Matkovic. I can't click on him either. I genuinely have no recollection of him being a player for us, but if you remember him, please do let me know in the comment section. We then had on loan Sacramento getting some assists the next season and spent his entire career at Benfica with some loans to us, Luton and Nottingham Forest, which seem a little bit odd in my opinion. Felipe Cruz, the player who he got away, didn't he? We had him for a lot. Every season for what? That's 22-23 to 26-27. 4 seasons that we had him on loan. And he was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal for us. But he took the money, went to Milan instead for £26 million and played some games, to be fair. We tried to sign him, but he wanted, like, what was it, 300k? I showed it on the video. We tried to offer him a contract, and he wanted 300k per week, which we could not afford. So Felipe Cruz, what a blast from the past he is. Rui Simons as well. He was a winger. I don't really remember playing Rui Simons that much. I thought we sort of used him more as backup, if I'm honest with you, because these are all under 21 appearances, these massive ones here. So I guess, do these assists count? Is this counting for the under 23s? So that might be why this guy's here, perhaps. Because that would kind of make sense, because I'm sure Rui Simons didn't play that many first-team fixtures to get that many assists for the first team. We'll brush over that one as Jerome Bernard got plenty of assists one particular season. He had a good time with us before we sold him to Sheffield United for £25 million. And actually went to Cologne in the Bundesliga for £31 million. So he's one of the few players that we sold and seems to have gone on a bit of an upward trajectory, perhaps, I suppose. Maybe going to Cologne there, pretty decent deal for him. Then there's 2 seasons of Felipe Cruz getting the big... In fact, we must have had Felipe Cruz longer than 4 seasons. That's 1 season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, 4, 5 seasons then. 5 years we had Felipe Cruz. That's mental. Giovanni Lo Celso, another old player that we brought into the squad. He got 9 one particular season after having a long career at Real Betis and things like that. And then Pedro, this final season, not the Pedro who plays for Chelsea. This Pedro, our own Pedro, who I think personally is probably the most talented player that we've had come through the Grasshopper ranks. Is a little bit underrated, I've got to say, but his average ratings over the past few seasons were absolutely phenomenal. A 7.7, a 7.3, a 7.49. Maybe not getting quite the amount of assists and goals that he might deserve, but I've got to say, he was a player that I think did a lot of the engine room work. He was always there starting off every manoeuvre. He was never the finisher or the provider. He always started everything off and it all went through him, which is why he gets phenomenal ratings whilst playing for us. Pedro, I take my hat off to you. What a player he turned out to be. Clean sheet isn't too interesting because it's just Fructal and Kalas. We had Nicholas Steffen for a season. We brought him for a little while, didn't we? From Basel, was it, or Arrow? No, Basel, yeah, and we played him for a couple of seasons where he got quite a few clean sheets and things like that, which was pretty good. So Steffen was a decent goalkeeper, and Solvi in the first season finished his career off with us, conceding 32 goals in 39 appearances, which is a very good going, I've got to say. Retired at 29 though, which seems very young. Let's go back on to the records. Highest average rating. We've already looked at most of these players, I suppose. Renato Matos, he was a good right back we had for a little while. He was the one we got in before we got Felipe Cruz. He came in for a season and played obviously very well that season to get that high average rating. Paolo Bernardo, a lovely player. He was a midfield maestro in those first few seasons when we got him on loan. Only twice we had him on loan. I thought we had him on loan a little bit more than that, but a 7.52 average rating in that season there was phenomenal. Buff, the less about him, the better. But also Alexander Silva-Reis, the right back that we had for a little while, that we ended up selling to Tottenham for £23.5 million because we had Thad Davis ready to take over the role then. Thad Davis, I've got to say, let's get him up. He just improved massively, very, very quickly. So he's a fantastic right back who hopefully will stay at the club for a long time to go in the future. Right, I've not got that much time left, I'm afraid, to do some recording. I've got to do some other recording with Dave Azzopardi, which will come up very soon on his channel, not my channel, but maybe in the future Dave will come on my channel because I want to do some draft mode stuff with some other creators. But I am recording with him very soon, so I'm a little bit time limited for some of this. If we look at, I want to see worst discipline because we always seem to get plenty of yellow cards. 22 yellow cards for Sterigu across 2 seasons there. That's phenomenal from him. Cruz got plenty of yellow cards. Bajrami, what a great defender he was for a couple of seasons when we had him on loan, but he got plenty of yellow cards as well. So the usual suspects there. Svetkovic, completely forgot he was a player. He was at centre-back in our first season. He was the most ill-disciplined player there. But after he left us, he went to Red Star and then played in Qatar for a little while as well. And is currently playing in Serbia with Radniki still. So that's an interesting one. Also, just looking at some of the oldest goal scorers as well, I completely forgot we had Toni Kroos at the squad for a little while before he retired. And also Willian as well. That's a little bit bizarre as well. We had such good old players. Anastasio was a good player, but he retired at 27 after we let him go at the end of his contract. He wasn't any good. Also, Vitva, I remember his name coming up quite a few times, but it looks like he also retired after leaving us, or we let him go sort of thing. So I feel a bit responsible for letting some players go, which was perhaps a little bit harsh. But there we go. We've had a look back at some of our memorable moments and some of the memorable players. And if you've got any of the players that you want to fondly remember, then let me know in the comment section and we can reminisce about them in the comment section. In the meantime, I'm going to go and switch over to the save file because I've already done it. I'll just do it for you right now. If I switch over to Hop to the Top in the future, I've gone 10 seasons in the future and I've not looked at anything yet. I've just simulated the 10 seasons. I'm there and I'm hoping that we are still as good. Basically, I'm hoping that we're still right up there as a squad and hopefully we've won a Champions League or two along the way. Right, let's get into this then. Grasshoppers. First of all, we are first in the Swiss Super League, I've just noticed as well, which is pretty good going. Competitions, we'll have a look at domestic league. So, we retired here, I believe. The 28-29 season we retired, didn't we? And by the looks of things, we've won the title 9 out of the next 10 seasons, which is absolutely fantastic. So very pleased with that. That's a very good start to how things are going. The Swiss Cup, we haven't won it since, have we? Oh, we've won it twice since. We beat St. Gallen there, and we lost to Luzerne in the... Oh, no, we lifted it there. Okay, we beat Zurich once, and we beat St. Gallen once as well. But other than that, we've only got to those 2 finals. So at least when we've got to the finals, we've gone on to win it, but... Poor performances in the Cup, but perhaps the managers aren't prioritising that. Well, I suppose neither was I, really, but we seem to go and win it every season, so I was pretty pleased with that. I suppose rather than just looking through every... Oh, we may as well look through it. Have we been in the Europa Conference League anytime soon? We have. 2035-36, we won it, beating Besiktas in the final. So, obviously, we must have... Is that after the season we came third? I can't remember when we came third now, but we've won a Europa Conference League. Have we won another Europa League? We haven't. We have been in it quite a few times, though, which is a little bit disturbing. We got to the quarterfinals twice, but we lost the final. It says here we lost to Leipzig in the final in the 29-30 season. So that's the season after I retired or resigned from the club. So it's not boding well for the Champions League, is it? If we look at the Champions League, we've barely got out of the group stages when we've been there. And if we've got out of it, we've been knocked out in the first round. So we've not won a Champions League. I mean, we've won a European competition, which is good. And we've got to a final of a Europa League. But we've gone backwards in Europe a little bit, I've got to say. And I'm not too pleased with that one. First, I suppose after this then, Conte is the current manager. Fair enough. Oh, wow. I can't believe it. They've got a stadium named after me. Hold the front door. The stadium is named after me. You bloody love to see that. Wow. Wow. I can end this happy now. I can end this happy. Facilities, please. I want to see the facilities. A 36,000-seater stadium named after me. Can I say, I wish I could see like a biography about this or a why it's named after me, because I'd love to just, big myself up. But there we go. I can just finish that now. The Tom Kelsey Stadium. You bloody love to see that. That's fantastic. Managers, though, that's what I was looking at next of all. So I finished, and they immediately replaced me with Maurizio Pochettino, who stays for 3 years and as a caretaker manager. And then Stéphane Sessignon, who is apparently a Real Madrid player. Is he a Real Madrid player in real life? Career stats? I don't know why it says Real Madrid. Oh, he's currently the manager of Real Madrid. That's why it's saying that. He played for plenty of different clubs. Sunderland. I should have heard of this guy, really, shouldn't I? Maybe I have heard of him. I'm just not putting the connections together. But is the current manager of Real Madrid, which is a pretty big step up from Grasshoppers, I suppose. So he's obviously a very good manager. After he left, it was Simon Kjær, who is a Danish manager. Who's he played for in his career? Oh, Seville, Udinese, Fenerbahce, Wolfsburg. He's a very, very good player then by looks of things. So obviously he was a manager for a little while, for just under a year before he got sacked. And now Conte's been there for the past 3 years and looks to overtake Pochettino's... In fact, he has overtaken Pochettino's length as a time manager as well. So Conte must be doing something right with 4 league titles and 2 cup wins to his name. Right. Is there anyone in the squad that we still know, still recognise? I hope there is. Although looking down this, Thomas Araho? Is this a name I remember? It's not quite. It's a name I remember because we must have played against him when he was at Basel, but it's a player that we don't have. We may have had an Araho ourselves, I don't know. But Mark Henry Stoop, I think he's not the Mark Henry that I'm thinking of, unfortunately. I don't think there's anyone here that we actually remember who's not from our time, which is a little bit disappointing. So let's go through the transfer history, okay, and have a quick look at... Well, this doesn't bode well, does it? Because the 29-30 season of the year after I left, and this huge column here, all right, is players leaving the club, because on the left you have players joining, on the right you have players leaving. Remember, that is huge, because that big bit there is Matthew Bottles leaving for £150 million. This suggests that we sold £170 million worth of players in the 29-30 season after I left. So did Pochettino just get rid of everyone? Did he get rid of everyone? We'll go back to that season. He sold £175 million worth of players. He actually did. He got rid of... No wonder we've done no decent stuff in European football, because we sold Dorival, sold Thad Davis, sold Anselmi, sold Sterigu, sold Pedro, sold Ross McQuaid, Capitano went, Guardiola. Who was left? Who actually was left after all of this? Oh, and we bought everyone who played for Bars as well, by looks of things. Sora's left, Bunt's left for like nothing. Smith was sent away for nothing as well. What's Alex Smith done these past few years? Played at Galatasaray for almost as long as he played for us, and then went to Vancouver for a couple. Alex Smith, that's such a waste of talent. I've not seen Randi Schneider's name up there yet, though, so hopefully Randi Schneider stayed loyal to the club, and, well, I say stayed loyal to the club. Everyone else was forced out by looks of things. Billy Schmitz even was left for £3.9 million. Are you joking me? Shane Hartman as well, he left, and Harry Kane was let go. Calas was let go on a free to Atletico Madrid. Tim Wright, Brian Gill, Wickstrom, everyone left the club after that, and if we go forward a couple of seasons after that, I'm sure Diaz left for £30 million. He was meant to be the future of the club. That's what I signed him for, to be the future of the club. And he left alongside Lo Celso and Juric. Oh, this is terrible. Absolutely terrible stuff. Wickstrom went for a lot of money in the end. I didn't really pay much attention to Wickstrom, but he was a very good... I should have done, because he's a Patreon guy, but I should have paid more attention to him, really. Mukic was also meant to be the future of the club, and he left as well. And then other players that I'm starting to not really realise are leaving the club as well, that I don't really know. Núñez was let go as well for such a cheap fee as well to Tottenham. Núñez, he's a player we forgot to sort of look at, but he was phenomenal for us as well in that attacking midfield position. For a very cheap price of when we bought him. He was fantastic. We are selling lots of players every year, so we must be in a very good financial shape, but I can't quite believe it. I've not seen Randi Schneider's name yet, so let's have a look at Randi Schneider. He's currently the assistant manager at Amiens. History. Oh, he did leave the club. Someone got rid of him for £1.7 million to go to Al Hilal. Why? I really honestly have a special place in my heart for Randi Schneider. He's probably up there. I'm going to say my favourite ever Football Manager player is Ryan Wilkie, and that goes all the way back to Championship Manager 2003-2004. And Ryan Wilkie was at Celtic, then goes to Liverpool, or was it? It goes around one like that either way. But I signed him and became World Player of the Year for me, and absolutely incredible player, Ryan Wilkie. In reality, he was let go from Liverpool and is a youth coach now at Celtic, having retired from his playing career at like 19 years old. So he was my favourite ever player, Ryan Wilkie. And I think Randi Schneider is up there with him. Randi Schneider, I bloody love you. Now, there's probably a lot more things to look at in the future, but I think we've covered the main things and sort of what's happened and what's happened to some of these players and what's happened to a lot of these players is a lot of them have left the club. Are any of them still in the best 11? That's what I'm interested in. Matthew Bottles, what's he done? He's now at Benfica after going to Real Madrid. Has literally just signed for Benfica as well, but he's had an incredible career. Has he actually won like World Player of the Year or anything like that? He's got Championship Goal of the Season in the European Championships, Forward of the Season for Real Madrid, and named him a Champions League Team of the Year. Won plenty of personal accolades. I don't think he's managed to win like a best player. World Football of the Year, he's been nominated for that. I don't think he's won it. I mean, I'd like to see him come third or something like that, but looking down here, I don't think he has done, unfortunately. Which is a bit of a shame, I suppose, but you can't win all of them, as Kylian Mbappe has sort of wrapped it up for a long time there. But Bottles is a phenomenal player. Randi Schneider and Alex Smith still in the Team of the Year, alongside Calas and Núñez as well, which is fantastic to see. So that's quite good, I suppose. There's a few players there. But as I say, I think we've covered most things there. So this really is properly the very end of Hop to the Top. And also, Inter Miami Live has finished, so we are moving on to the new save now, which is Around the Block, which is a journeyman around the former Soviet Union Eastern Bloc countries, which I think is going to be really interesting. That's going to come out, well, I'm saying Monday right now, but it might come out at the weekend because I'm really excited to get going and making it, so it might just come out at the weekend. So keep your eyes peeled. Get the notifications turned on so you never miss an upload of mine. You get notified as soon as that new series will come out, which I think is going to be exciting. Follow me on Twitter as well, at TomFM_YT, to get some updates on that, because I'll be tweeting throughout the weekend and week about that. So look forward to that one. But that is the end. So again, thank you ever so much. If you want these save files, they're on the Patreon, so get yourself on there. Other than that, thank you. I'll see you soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.